Good afternoon, everyone. Prepperdawg here on a Wednesday afternoon. Hope you're having a good week so far. So before I get into anything, I just want to remind everybody to please consider subscribing to my channel so you won't miss my videos. I would sure appreciate that. So topic for today is the semiconductor chip shortage. If you haven't heard about this, you may have heard about this. It's been kind of in the news and it's been on my radar a little bit, but the last several days, it's really, I've learned a lot more deeply about this. So it's really affecting everything, and I think it's a big deal. And it may be a bigger deal to you depending on what you're buying or what you're trying to buy. So, and the reason it really hit home to me the last several days is we just purchased a vehicle. One of our vehicles was getting really old. It was time, it was the end of its life. So we've had a lot of good luck over the years buying certified used vehicles. So we rarely buy new vehicles. So I was starting to look last weekend for one, and we typically don't have any issues finding what we want. We try to, like I said, we try to find a vehicle that's 2 or 3 years old, usually a Toyota or a Honda. We've had best luck with them. But I tell you what, it's very difficult to find one right now. I was really surprised. First, what hit me is that the inventory is pretty low on these things, and so that surprised me. And then the prices are going up, so there's a supply and demand thing, right? So not as many to choose from, and the prices are going up. So when I started talking to some of the dealers, they were all telling me the same thing: is that this semiconductor chip shortage is a real deal. So what's happening is the shortage of these little wafer-like chips are affecting the inventory of new vehicles. So new vehicles, all the models, all the makes it's affecting their production. So there's lower inventory at the dealers. So what's happening is there's a big upswing now in people buying new vehicles. So what they're doing is they're going out and trying to buy these new vehicles. So if they can't find what they want, and then they're just going right over and buying the used vehicles, the pre-certified used or certified used vehicles. So that's starting to also wipe out the inventory of the used vehicles. So it's doing two things. It's really making it difficult to really find what you want, or you're gonna have to settle for something else, your second or third choice. And also you may be paying more for it. So if you're out there, anybody listening, if you're looking for a vehicle right now, or you're thinking about it, you may want to go ahead, if you can, and jump on it while you can get a decent deal. So I started researching this a little deeper, and I came across this really good article. I want to share some of it with you. This was written from Tech Explorer, written by Brandon Baker, University of Pennsylvania, but I'll just read a couple of things from it. Kind of explains it pretty well. He said, your smartphone, it runs on a semiconductor. The innards of a PlayStation also runs on a semiconductor. The display in your car, yes, that runs on one as well. So it's no exaggeration to say that much of what we rely on in our daily lives is powered by these tiny wafer-like circuit chips called semiconductors. So 40% of an automobile's value is estimated to be related to these electronics. This makes the shortage of it essential part of very concerning the United States economy. So 40% of a car's worth is tied up in these things. So it's like your car is like a moving computer, really. So that was interesting. He goes on to say just about everything, your phone, your TV, home appliances, your car, of course, is made up of a lot of these things. So it's also used in industrial equipment, airplanes, and automobiles. So but they're facing shortage in all of these things, and really the media is starting to focus more on automobiles. So and it says why is that? It says there's a lack of sufficient supply, which has led them to actually shut down factories of these automakers and cut back on production to lay off workers around the world. The reason is they don't have the chips. And many people haven't thought about this, but we have many chips inside our cars today. You can look at a car as a moving computer. Like I said, every car has all kinds of systems: heating, air conditioning, entertainment, the engine, and they're all controlled and monitored by these electronic chips. And as you may know, with manufacturing, when the manufacturing is short on one part, it doesn't matter how small it is, you can't finish assembly or ship the product, so you have severe disruption. And this has happened before. So it's happened before some years back, but maybe not to this level. And then it says, consider what has happened during the last year. So we got the pandemic as part of it, right? So during the pandemic, we're at home, more people at home, watching TV, using our devices. People are purchasing more, and the demand for consumer electronics and other devices has gone way up. So in addition, in the first 2 quarters of 2020, demand for cars went down. So people weren't just buying cars. So all the manufacturers assumed that they had to scale back, and they did then order a lot of inventory. So this is called just-in-time inventory management, or lean manufacturing. As a result, they didn't order extra inventory. So in the second half of last year, 2020, demand exploded for vehicles. People all of a sudden started buying cars. When the manufacturers went to order more chips, they discovered that there wasn't enough capacity because it had already been allocated to the other industries, the electronics. So it's just not the pandemic. So he says, well, I would say the pandemic was the root cause. It's disrupted the demand for patterns significantly and the way companies responded to the demand. So this is what we teach. It's the demand for failed to anticipate and led to a problem. Manufacturers are supposed to be able to manage these things. That's what we teach in our supply chain management courses, how to minimize risk and match supply with demand. Unfortunately, they fell down. So there was a couple other things I wanted to share. He says, so we've seen shortages. If you want to buy a car today, you'll probably have to wait to get something you want. Or it's also true. That's also true for some other products as well. So that may extend to other things like electronics. So how does the problem get solved? So this is interesting here. He says this is not going to go away soon. You can't create capacity overnight, so we will have to live with the consequences. Companies can make decisions now that will achieve resiliency and thus mitigate risks going forward. And that's what they're all trying to do right now. This could be based on finding other suppliers or redesigning products and processes, or building up inventory of components. This has been done as much as possible, and that will have some effect. But going back to, let's say, the toilet paper crisis that we had, a shortage of toilet paper we had last year, when the crisis started, you went to the supermarket and you saw the empty shelves. But as we said before, it wasn't because of the shortage of capacity. Manufacturing of toilet paper was sufficient to meet the demand back then. I'm not an expert, but I think consumption was not going to change that much. So it's a question of where is all the toilet paper going? More than half of it was being produced in large rolls that go to institutional users like schools and factories, and they were all shut down anyway. So you can't buy big rolls for a home, it won't fit. So you had to repackage production, and that took a little time, not a lot of time, but a few weeks to retool the machines, because it's basically the same product, toilet paper. They also had to reallocate available supply to rebalance supply and demand dynamically. They did all of these things, and as a result, there was lots of toilet paper on the store shelves a month or two later. So that problem was solved. Now, translate that analogy to the superconductor chips. You can try to do the same thing with semiconductors, but it won't work as well. You can't just repackage them. Chips used in automobiles are also highly specialized for the design of a car. You can't take a Chevy Bolt chip and use it for a Tesla. Thus, you can't pool supply and reallocate it. You can do this with toilet paper because it's a commodity, but these chips are highly specialized, and that limits the ability to pool supply to mitigate the crisis. So that really explained this all pretty well. So bottom line is, if you're buying an automobile, plan for it to take a little longer. You may have to settle for your second, third, or fourth choice, and you're probably going to pay more. So I just wanted to share that. That was very interesting to me. Like I said, this had been on my radar, but I didn't realize it was so deep as that. So that was a revelation. And so anyway, I hope this was helpful to you. Please let me know in the comments. Please let me know if you're looking for a car and if this is affecting you, or how you dealt with it. So please again subscribe to the channel. I would sure appreciate it. And I will see you next time. God bless.